yesterday Vizio launched maybe its first television in 2 years. I think that's correct. Let me know in the comment section below if that's correct. But they launched a new Quantum HDR series television. So they're no longer doing the P series. They're no longer doing their higher tier TVs. They kind of settled on this M series, which is kind of like, it was their mid-tier series, but then it became their gaming series and their overall entertainment series. But they launched two new televisions yesterday. One is readily available today and one is coming in the future. And so let's go over here to the actual website here. We're going to take a look at this. They launched the Quantum 4K QLED HDR Smart TV yesterday. Now this is their lower tier model, and both of them, the QLED HDR as well as the QLED or Quantum Pro, both come in 65-inch and 75-inch models. But I'm going to warn you against this lower tier model specifically because of this right here. So 120 frames per second at only 1080p gaming kind of makes this TV worthless. Like, for most, that's a bad word. It makes it worthless if you're a gamer. For any time, I mean, 120 frames per second at 1080p on a 4K television is crazy, which means there's no, I mean, it's just not, I don't know. So the specs between these televisions are pretty much very similar. They're HDR, they're QLED, Dolby Vision, wide angle viewing is something that they're touting as a big plus for them. You can purchase these now. They're ready to be purchased. $698 for the 75-inch. So I mean, that's, if you're just watching television, that's really not that. That's really a pretty good deal. And then $498 for the 65-inch. I'm assuming it's 4K 60 because for the gaming, for this particular model, it doesn't really say much in regards to that. It says it's unrivaled gaming, which is, come on, man, like, stop saying that. But it does have AMD FreeSync Premium. I just don't know why they capped this thing at 60 hertz. It's almost like you created two models, this and the Pro, for no reason. But going back, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of information, on this particular. It's just weird. It's weird. There's HDMI 2.1, but it's only 120 frames per second at FHD. What that tells me is that they're taking advantage of the ability to put HDMI 2.1, but those are not true HDMI 2.1 ports, because why would it be capped at 120 frames per second for full HD? So I mean, it's really weird, right? Because Vizio used to be the budget king. Like, when you wanted a great television and you wanted to stay underneath a budget, Vizio was the brand, right? And they kind of disappeared over these last 2 years. They were hit really hard with COVID due to their manufacturing methods and the shutdowns over in Asia. So it's disheartening to see them disappear. They did improve their sound bars. Their sound bars are really, really great and really, really, held in high regard in regards to the entertainment industry. But their television really disappeared over the last 2 years, and it's really weird. But I will say, if you're not a gamer, $498 for a 65-inch television with Dolby Vision HDR10 Plus and Quantum QLED color, voice remote, and IQ active processor. I'm not sure if that's an AI-based processor, if that's just their standard processor, but Wi-Fi 6 for streaming. This is a really good deal if you only watch television and consume regular television. And then at $698 for the 75-inch, that's a really good deal. I'll being subjective and taking away any bias that I have in regards to being a gamer, that's a pretty big deal, pretty good deal. It's just weird that it has FreeSync and AMD FreeSync. The Quantum Pro looks to be a really good television. This is also a 4K QLED television, but it has gaming at 120 frames per second at 4K and 240 frames per second at 1080p. So it's more along the lines of what you would expect from a television in 2023. Now, pricing is not listed for this yet, but it does go on to have better specs or a little better specs. So active full array local dimming, up to 1,000 nits of peak brightness, this wide viewing angle and anti-reflective film, like they tout that. Again, it's like, That's something that all televisions have had, for the last many years. But they got to make their list a little bit longer. So, enhanced Dolby Vision HDR and HDR10 Plus, and this one actually has 1,000 nits, or at least it's claimed. AMD FreeSync Pro and VRR at 120 frames per second for gaming. Wi-Fi 6E, not just Wi-Fi 6, so the higher tier Wi-Fi 6. Vizio voice remote, Bluetooth headphone capable, and a thin frame design. 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. So those are really good specs. And so at the price point for the others at $498 and $698, I'm excited to see what they have to offer here. It is interesting. It's QLED. When the current TCL and Hisense budget televisions are launching with mini LED, and so these prices are going to have to be very competitive for this to be a viable option, because Hisense has the budget market on lock right now, and TCL is doing its thing this year as far as their releases. And so televisions heated up a lot this year with competition, so it's interesting with these being their launches and the specs that they have on them. But pricing is king when it comes to budget televisions, and so it's just that first set is kind of weird. So the Pro would definitely be the way that I would go. So I'm anxious. Is this something would you buy the regular version, or are you holding out for the Pro? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. As always, stay cozy in that crazy world, and I'll see you in the next video.
Reality's a package, less than 24 hours pass and I'm back to working. The wage isn't minimum, but when you know your worth is more, you make your own curriculum. Studying the industry, I know you see me killing them.